Hel- Hello, I'm Lisa Flood.
And I'm Jason Angelette, and welcome to Faith and Marriage Today.
And welcome to the show, Ben Clapper, Executive Director of Louisiana Right to Life, and first time to the show, Alex Seghers, who is the Director of Education for Louisiana Right to Life. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Well, you know, in January we celebrate the sanctity of human life. This is a great, beautiful month that we focus in on. That there's the March for Life here in Louisiana. Baton Rouge is coming up. We've got the one obviously in D.C. My daughter's going to be there, excited that she'll be able to see that. It's a beautiful event, you know. But, you know, here we are. This is the first January post Roe versus Wade. And so I guess the first question to kind of start us off, Ben, in Louisiana, where are we right now post Roe, and what has that impact been, that decision been made here in Louisiana?
Yeah. Well, you know what's amazing is usually in January we're remembering the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. So this is the first unanniversary that we're going to remember. So praise God.
Day.
I know it is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, thanks be to God, because our laws went into Roe v. Wade was overturned. Our pro-life laws that were passed in 2006 and then just in 2022, our laws protect life in Louisiana, right? So nearly almost all abortions in Louisiana are illegal today. Unborn babies are protected, and that's a great blessing. We count that nearly 4,000 babies that would have been aborted last year are protected now in Louisiana, have been protected. So we know we still have a lot of work to do to continue to protect life, to help moms, and to make our laws even stronger and ensure that our state is more pro-mom, pro-adoption. But the fact that Louisiana is a pro-life state and is protecting the rights of these unborn babies is a great blessing.
Yeah, praise be to God.
You know, Ben, we know abortion is illegal now in Louisiana, but we know that some people are buying chemical abortions. Can you talk about what does that mean to us in Louisiana?
Sure. Unfortunately, the abortion industry has pivoted, and they're selling abortion pills, chemical abortion pills, online. Now, it's illegal in Louisiana for them to do that, to ship those pills into Louisiana, but it's been difficult for the state to enforce the law on that. So it's certainly something the state has to work on and to try to stop these abortion pills from being mailed into the state, because, of course, not only do they hurt unborn children, kill unborn children, but they're dangerous to women as well.
Yeah, it breaks my heart because, you know, over the years we've seen the pro-choice side say, you know, we need health care for women, we need to be there for women, like women need like the best access, you know, possible, and every law that we've tried to pass that's helped help that be common sense health and safety standards has just been knocked down. They are not putting the health and safety of women at the forefront of that. So yeah, the Journal of American Medical Ethics Association, they came out with a study that said that pill orders into Louisiana has risen by 170%. Wow. So there's like upwards of 130 something, probably almost 200 pill orders happening per week, like leading from the overturn of Roe. And we don't know, you know, if that's specific abortions or not. You know, they have promoted people hoarding these pills. You know, who knows who's actually ordering them and what. We don't know if women are actually getting abortions. So it doesn't exactly equate to the number of abortions. But we do have friends who are telling us, and friends of friends who are in the ER, saying that we're seeing women every day in our ERs with abortion symptoms. The regulations that have been rolled back have been that women are not required to take these pills in front of a doctor, not required to have a relationship with a doctor to take these pills. They can just get this prescribed from anywhere from out of state, and this black market, you know, mail order abortion. It's all these different websites that have them have multiple different requirements, some none at all. So these women, you're required to, the standard is that these women are able to take this pill up until about 10 weeks. You know, that's whenever it's going to be most effective, but women don't even have to verify how far along they are in their pregnancy whenever they order these pills. So it can cause, you know, hemorrhaging. If a woman has an ectopic pregnancy, she hasn't undergone an ultrasound to see if that's the case, and if so, that ectopic pregnancy can be incredibly dangerous to that woman, you know, be fully threatening to her life. There's no way to know. So women are showing up at the ER with excessive bleeding from this, you know, with these different symptoms, and there's no medical oversight. So it's incredibly sad to see.
You know, one of the difficulties that I've been over the years of, you know, in the pro-life movement, you hear women who have gone to abortion, and then they feel like they have no choice. They talk about this whole pro-choice thing, but they felt like they were put into a corner. They were just trying to like do what they thought was the best thing and the right thing for them, that's going to make their life happy and future possible, you know. And so they chose abortion. what are we doing here in Louisiana to continue to help women in crisis pregnancy situations to know that there are other options like adoption, and there's also help and assistance to guide women who are in these situations who feel like they're not ready, who feel like everything is against them, but to give them the comfort and the help that they need to know that there's a future full of hope for them.
Well, something in particular to the chemical abortion pill, I would love to say there is the abortion pill reversal process, and that's something that we're promoting widely. There's been over 4,000 babies saved since the abortion pill reversal process started. Now that's being promoted, we're promoting that online through our pregnancy centers, through a network of OBGYNs. And so further than that, that's whenever a woman has actually taken the abortion pill and regrets it, we're going to be there for her. We're not going to sit there and judge her and say, well, you took this is
right.
No, we're going to embrace her and say, yes, we have tangible help for you. Here's like the line to a doctor, where are you? Let's do that ultrasound. The same goes for the help even beyond that, right? Before she's pregnant, while she's pregnant, and even after she's had an abortion. So there's over 35 pregnancy centers all throughout Louisiana. They're there to help women before and after the birth of her baby. Financial assistance, material assistance, counseling. They're going to be there to walk her hand through whatever crisis situation she's in and beyond. In fact, we have our website, findhelpla.com, that we've just launched, and it leads to a zip code search where women can find their local crisis pregnancy center anywhere in Louisiana. We've expanded it beyond just crisis pregnancy centers. If she goes into it, she can find her local adoption centers, financial material assistance, help with domestic violence cases. If she's in a human trafficking situation and she needs resources outside of that, there's a number of things that she can find, and that's at findhelpla.com, and we're trying to promote that far and wide in Louisiana.
Something that I just think about this, when Roe versus Wade was overturned, I felt like, I guess the pro-choice, pro-abortion people really had the microphone and was really like protesting and really enraged, right, with the overturning of this decision. I feel like it's an opportunity for us pro-life, the pro-life culture, to really double down on why this was so important, on the truth of the dignity of human life from moment of conception until natural death, and also to really show and share the resources and the help that's available for them. And so I guess my encouragement is that not for people who are just like in those situations where they need help and they're looking for resources, but for all of us to be really aware of all the amazing work that's being done, the resources that are available, that at any moment, if someone came to you, whether it was a conversation that was just on the topic of life and real care for women, or whether it was somebody who in a situation of crisis, like, wait, I know where to go for help. I know there's help out there, and I can show it to you right now.
Yeah, in fact, right now, we came out with these wallet-sized resource cards that really point toward the findhelpla.com website, and it's there for women who are in a crisis pregnancy, so I brought enough for all of y'all to have.
After Roe was overturned, so much of the protest was focused on misconceptions about what, the fact is that the law does allow women who are in emergencies, doctors can help them, right? And in situations, it can be complicated, but our law defers to the good medical judgment of doctors in situations of medical necessity. So that was one thing. Things like ectopic pregnancies. Doctors can care for women ectopic pregnancies just as before Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Right.
All these things that everyone talked about were not even questions. So really, people avoided the kind of morality of abortion, right, and talked about other things. So we need to make sure that people of faith and of life are engaged with basic knowledge of what our law does and doesn't allow, so that when we get into these conversations, we can dispel any of these myths in our society.
Well, you hear a lot about medical futility situations. Would you explain what we're talking about in those cases?
You want to cover that?
Take it away, Alex.
Knows a lot about that.
Well, yes, unfortunately, that is an exception on our Louisiana law, that babies who are diagnosed with an adverse prenatal diagnosis, and specifically one of 24 different diagnoses that they came up with, if a baby is diagnosed with any one of those 24 different diagnoses, that doctor can recommend that baby for termination. The story that broke out that maybe many people know is about Nancy Davis, whose baby had a crania. There was some mix-up of whether or not she could get an abortion, but essentially it was a diagnosis that was exactly like one of those that are on the list. And all she kept saying the whole time was that, I'm carrying my baby only to bury my baby. And my heart goes out to her. I had, in my first pregnancy, I had a potential diagnosis where the doctor said there's 99% chance that your baby could have trisomy 13, 18, and she named a few other things. And yeah, it's completely devastating to look, at the trajectory of your pregnancy and say, I might not have a living baby at the end of this. This might be filled with grief. I might lose my baby before my pregnancy, during birth, or right afterward. And I can't imagine the actual grief and suffering that follows that. But I wanted to reach out to Nancy Davis and say there are resources there for you. There's a whole community of families here in Louisiana who have gone through the same thing, because yes, you are carrying your baby. Your baby is alive inside of you right now, is safe in your womb. And if you have an abortion, you may not be the one burying your baby, but somebody is. And that baby will be dying at the hands of an abortionist, at a violent death, torn apart by an abortionist's tools and thrown aside as medical waste, rather than peacefully passing in their mother's and father's arms. So that's something that we're trying to really educate against and get at, because it's such a sensitive and cruel issue right now that is really unfolded. We're making abortion illegal, but I think that's just bringing to light all of the dark parts of abortion. It's really showing how ableist and eugenics really plays a part in the abortion industry. So that's something that we're educating the public on.
Alex, I think it's so important that as families, we know how to talk about this in our homes, especially with our teenagers. They're hearing so much in social media that is not true. So how would you encourage the average mom and dad at home to really start engaging in these conversations? We can't wait till they're ready to go off to college.
Right. I think that has been a privilege of mine. I grew up in a family that was not afraid to talk about the issue. You could say I was pro-life even in the womb, because my mom was at different events while she was pregnant with me. The way that they did it with me is, yes, they talked about unborn life. They were, people can feel sensitive about talking about this because it brings up other important topics and questions that they might want to wait till later in life to talk with kids about. But look, this is human life. This is human dignity. We can show you that from the very first moment, from your first moment of existence, that, how vulnerable you are, that you are fully human, just as you are, teenager, adult, etc. And it's okay to talk about abortion in age-appropriate ways. We have programs that do that. We go into high schools and colleges and even middle schools talking about human dignity and talk about this in age-appropriate ways. I would just encourage parents, reach out to us. We have a lot of educational materials for them to look at. Encourage their students to get involved and active. Go to the March for Life. That's a great way to open their kids' eyes to, wow, this is a whole movement there, and I'm excited to be a part of this. These are all things that I was able to do growing up.
Because that's the point is that I feel like I taught high school for a couple of years ago, and I just remember this was before social media and before everybody had the smartphones and things like that. And I just felt like I saw a stronger pro-life presence in the high school. Fast forward, I've got my two older, actually I'm 3 now of my 5 in high school. And I just feel like at that age now, it's a different culture because they're being exposed to different influences that maybe they would have found in college, but now they're finding it in high school. So it really is happening sooner that pro-choice, pro-abortion culture is really influencing them with the things, especially I feel like on social media. So I think it like you said, we got to engage this. And one of the things that we were doing as a family, even young, was praying for the end to abortion. And I mean, we can still pray for that here in Louisiana. We can globally and obviously for the United States. But I remember having a conversation when my oldest was, I think maybe 7, and I was said, pray for the end of abortion. And I remember she said, well, what's abortion? And I was age appropriate. I was trying to find the right terminology to say it. And she says, well, who does that? And I said, well, it's the doctors that do it. And she says, I thought doctors are supposed to help people. And I'm like, out of the mouth of babes. Like it's
You're
like
right.
but if we get caught up into these pressure situations where we're like kind of, do the ends justify the means? And what about in this case? I'm like, well, no, in every case. I mean, I was just talking to you before we started with what's his name from Radiance Foundation. Yeah. He was talking about he was conceived in rape, and he said that the circumstances of conception does not determine the worth of the person.
That's right.
And so, like, we have, even in these tough situations, whether it's rape or incest, that the life still has value. And there's a culture that we need to help everybody understand, that the dignity of life begins conception, ends at natural death, and regardless of the circumstances, we need to support that.
Yeah. Well, and we know that we're going to, this coming legislative session, there will be attempts, and unfortunately Governor Edwards has taken the banner of this. There will be strong attempts to change our laws to allow for abortions in cases of rape and incest. We're going to be here to fight that, to stop that, and we're going to need everybody's help to contact your legislator, because right now we've been fighting up the mountain for 50 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Now in Louisiana, at least, we're kind of on top of the mountain, and everyone's going to be trying to bring us down.
Yeah.
So the people who are upset are going to be talking to their legislators. People like us who maybe are a little happy right now, you need to tell our legislators, you got to keep it where it is. They're going to be under a lot of pressure.
So now's the time for us to start reaching out.
Absolutely, 100%. Right now, this is the time. Yeah.
Well, in addition to the legislative issues, boots on the ground. You know somebody who's in a crisis pregnancy, who's really struggling. Okay, they're faced with a really tough situation. What, as a society, what as a state are we doing and offering to help people in crisis pregnancies?
Well, we have the crisis pregnancies that are all over our state, right, offering help to those women. And I think it's important for people to, one, know exactly where their local crisis pregnancy center is, and reach out to them, to offer them encouragement, to offer them their time, their donation, their effort, to like embrace them in community. Because our crisis pregnancy centers, they're going through a tough time right now with like so many people being against them, and like our politicians constantly talking against them, saying that pregnancy centers torture pregnant people, and that's something that was going on, all over the place right after Roe v. Wade was overturned. But people need to stand for those pregnancy centers, say, no, I know people who have been helped by them. They're really here for women, and getting that information into the local community.
And our state has a lot of resources, financial resources.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a safety net in our society right now. No matter somebody's political persuasion about it, but right now, women who find themselves in crisis pregnancy centers, from the medical assistance, the financial assistance, the WIC Moms, LA Moms program, there's a lot of ways our state, privately and publicly, can support moms. So there's no reason to have an abortion, because there is a system in place to help. We need to continue to improve that, and even privately in our churches, right? The church has a great program called Walking with Moms in Need, and that needs to be implemented in every Catholic parish. And there's an Embrace Grace program that can be used in evangelical and Baptist churches, so that our churches become an oasis, in a sense, to help mothers and fathers who find themselves in crisis pregnancies.
And I have to say that our local diocese here, I've been in conversation with a lot of them about the Walking with Moms in Need program, and I think a lot of the diocese here in Louisiana are really doing a good job with that and trying to get it out into local churches, and they need people in those parishes who are willing to take up the flag to be able to establish that in their church, a resource for women.
So if somebody is listening, watching, and they want to do that and bring it to, whether they're a Catholic or go to their own church, whatever it is, how would they take the next step? Who would they contact?
They can contact their diocese, probably marriage and family office, or their pro-life office, or respect life office, and likely they will find a person there who knows like what to give them. And if they can't find anybody there for some reason, call us. We know where to turn them as well.
Yeah, and then with evangelical and Baptist churches, we can help connect with Embrace Grace. Great programs that can be put in place and implemented in a local church. So our website, prolifelouisiana.org. Anybody can go visit that, contact us. We'd love to point you in the right direction.
Tell us, what are some things on your radar? There's y'all are always busy with all kind of events and things going on. What's on your to-do list coming up?
Yeah, well, I mean, for us, we have three key priorities. Number one is to make sure that we keep Louisiana pro-life, right? That's kind of our number one priority. We got to keep the laws of Louisiana as pro-life as they are, hopefully improve them so that we can protect these children who face these, quote, medical futility issues. Also make sure that there's no more exceptions that are added to our law. Number two, we have to strengthen what we're doing to help women, right? We have to make sure that we're communicating those resources and those get out to the public, and then we empower people to go do that outreach to women. And number three, we want to continue to promote adoption, right? Adoption is the loving, beautiful beautiful option that gives life to the baby, helps the birth mother in her situation, and then gives a family that might not have had the chance to have a child life. I mean, the movie Lifemark that came out, which was based on our documentary, I Lived on Parker Avenue, was just beautiful. We have to be telling the good news about adoption in our society. So those are some of the kind of 3 key priorities for what we're doing, but it's all wrapped up in our activism and everybody taking a stand and getting involved.
Well, yeah, it's like we want to keep praying for the end to abortion. We want to pray for the work that all people who are involved in the pro-life movement, and we want to fund and support the work that y'all are doing. But again, like that call, what can we do, the viewers, like tap? How can you tap us to do what?
Yeah,
specifically.
Well, number 1. Contact your local legislators. I'm serious. It almost sounds like, oh, everyone says that, right?
And say, we want you to
give
us the words.
We want our laws to be pro-life.
Okay.
And we want you to protect every unborn child in this state. And we're going to be watching what you do this upcoming legislative session that starts April 9th. Yeah. So number 1, contact your legislator. Number 2, talk to your kids, grandchildren, and get your young people involved, right? Because it may take only 1 legislative session to change our laws, and it's going to take 1 generation for us to lose our pro-life culture. So you got to talk about it. If you're on social media, don't be afraid to enter the pro-life fray on social media. I know it's tough, it's daunting. We have people who are pro-life getting off of social media because they're kind of thinking this is just too much, right? Yeah. But if we do that, we can't do that, you know?
Yeah, we don't. When you step out of that space, it doesn't leave this empty vacuum. Something fills that space, and it's the other voice, again, complicating the problem by dispelling lies and myths and misunderstandings that's going to cause people to then think that this is their only option, which is abortion.
And we have social media. We have Facebook, we have Instagram. Come, go on there, see the images, see the videos that we're putting out there, share the stories. Yes.
Alex, what has been most effective? I know you've done some things on college campuses throughout the state. What specifically have you been doing at colleges to educate that group?
Well, for colleges, one, we have to really build up our pro-life clubs on college campuses, creating a space where pro-life students don't feel like they're alone and don't feel alienated, where they can go and say, okay, we're going to have strength in numbers to be able to do activism on our college campus and to be strong in our pro-life beliefs. And we as Louisiana Life, we give education to them, we give them persuasion tips, and just supply them with what they need to be able to do that. But then helping them, empowering them to go out and going ourselves onto college campuses and just having dialogue. Because like you said, if we're not there, somebody else is. We know Planned Parenthood's on their campus. We know Lift Louisiana is on their campus. We know pro-choice groups are on their campus talking to students. We know social media is advertising on college campuses. So if we can just step onto those campuses and be there and have displays that show our own pro-life beliefs and have tables where they can come and just have a conversation, that's really what's needed on our college campuses.
Sounds great. We're going to keep going. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Ben Clapper and Alex Seghers, for joining us and for being with us. To learn more about the great work being done from Louisiana Right to Life, as well as the many resources and outreach opportunities and ways to get involved, go to prolifelouisiana.org. And also learn more about Louisiana's pregnancy help resources. Go to findhelpla.com.
Before we go, we'd like to turn it over to Dr. Mario.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Mario Sacasa. Thanks for joining me on this quick little video here. So back in February, I launched this program called Dating Well. And over the last few months since I've launched this dating program, I've had the privilege of going to numerous college campuses to be able to share about the message of dating and how to date well, how to do this process. I mean, it's uncomfortable, and I get it. So anyway, so I'm on these college campuses. I never really know the students who are going to be there or what they're thinking or what they're going to say. So I always do a 30-minute lecture where I get into just kind of the practicals of, what dating is, how to assess it, looking kind of the telos of a relationship. What's the 5 stages of a relationship? What's the purpose of dating? Where's it supposed to go to? How to do it well in terms of emotional chastity, conversations, when to talk about what, how to set that thing up. And we also talk about physical lines as well, why it's important to wait for marriage, why that is a value that's good for you. And so speaking about all of this, well, after one lecture that I gave, there was a student who came up to me afterwards and just shared with me that he had never heard of the idea of waiting for marriage. He was simply just dumbfounded by it. He just was like, I've never even heard that before. I never knew, the way he said it was that I never knew that not having sex was an option. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. I go, man, if you've just been living in the world and watching all the movies and reading all the magazines and going on all the websites, and you're just listening to what everybody's telling you that if sex is what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to do it, and you can, and that's it. And he was saying that he just never heard before that there was an option, and that the option was that you don't have to do this. And then he shared about just some of the challenges and some of the relationship history and the difficulties that's been, for him, precisely because sex has been introduced at an early stage in these relationships. And he just kind of lamented that a little bit. So I was deeply struck by this conversation because, one, I didn't expect it. I mean, I'm grateful for people when they share things with me like this. But two, what really struck me was just a couple things. First and foremost, just that, hey, the Christian ethic is gone. Like, it's gone. It's not being communicated. It's gone in terms of popular culture. It is not what is the standard anymore. The standard is whatever the world is telling us is the standard. That's the standard. And so it's gone. And so these young people are living within this environment where they're just operating within the rules and the context of things that have been given to them. That's it. So that was one, very enlightening in that piece, that it's definitely gone. And the second piece is that despite the fact that it's gone, this young man was still resonating with something that was being communicated. He was still resonating with the truth. He still recognized that, like, whoa. I've always felt like this wasn't exactly what was right, but no one ever told me. No one ever gave me permission. No one ever said it is okay to not do this because everybody else is saying that this is what you're supposed to do. And so here he is now having to reflect on that and to say, well, now that I don't have to do this, well, what am I going to do? And so for him, I was struck by the fact that, like, the gospel still works. So even though that the message has been lost in society, it's no longer the norm, it's no longer a given, it's still effective. It's still effective. The truth is still the truth, and it still works, and it still encourages people, and it still compels people to live a better life and to be better versions of themselves. So my encouragement to you is a couplefold. One, be not afraid. We recognize that the Christian ethic, the Christian understanding of the human person is gone. Okay, it's gone. It's not the popular way anymore of understanding people. That doesn't mean that we still don't have our work to do as Christians, as Catholics. That doesn't mean we still don't live the life that God has given to us. And then we still try to share that life with the people that God invites us to share that life with. Because the truth is still the truth. The truth is still powerful. It's still convicting. It's still encouraging. It still has all of its demands, but it's the only thing that brings about joy and happiness. And so this young man reminded me of that simple truth. I guess pun intended, but it's also just an encouragement I want to be able to offer to each of you. So God bless you guys. Keep doing the good work that you're doing. The Lord knows that we need it. Amen.
Well, that's our show for today. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or to learn more about the great work of Faith in Marriage, go to faithinmarriage.org. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for watching. Until next time, God bless.